Yield! That's the game we're doing. Hello everyone, welcome back to Foster the Meeple, a channel all about
board games
and
board gaming things.
Exactly. We're back again with another pumped up Kickstarter. Today we are going to be doing a Kickstarter preview on Yield from BFF Games, who very kindly sponsored this video, so shouts out to them. As per usual with our preview videos, we're going to do a little overview, we're going to have a bit of a discussion, help you figure out whether or not Yield is the right game for you. And so let's, naked. It's naked. Naked, how embarrassing. It's a prototype, so everything you see is subject to change. Let's just dive into it, shall we? We shall. And we're back. Jeffrey, tell the people a little bit about Yield.
Yield, at its core, is a area control game where you are a bunch of players playing on a map trying to be the last person, essentially, to leave influence. You're basically constructing your discs into different locations. It doesn't necessarily matter how many discs you have in the... Well, it does matter, but ultimately you want your disc to be the last disc on the pile.
Disc on top. Get the other people to do the work for you.
Correct. Because at the end of the game, if there's 6 discs there, but yours is on top, you're the person that's going to score all of those discs in that area.
That's true.
In Yield, you are going through a series of actions, and all of your actions are designated by card play. So all of the actions, whether it's move 2 characters 1 space, or move 3 characters 1 space, or move 1 character 2 spaces and another 1 space, or ambush, which allows you to attack with a bonus. All kinds of different actions that you play with your cards. There's also another card that lets you basically use a card from your discard pile again. There's a bunch of different actions that you're doing, but ultimately what you're doing is going around this map, battling each other, trying to lay down your tokens into different regions. We're going to be traveling around these spaces, fighting each other. So there's certain spaces that basically, not all spaces can have discs on them.
They're like strongholds.
Strongholds, fortresses, and you're allowed to basically conquest those areas. There's actions that allow you to add discs to regions that you've already taken over. Battle mechanisms are really straightforward. Each region has color associated with it. You're drawing cards that have different values on them, and you're allowed to add cards to your inherent battle strength. So each faction has 3 different army types. Warriors. And each army type will have different units associated with it. And they're all designated by a dial that is secret information only available to you. So, for example, if I ambushed Jamie in an area and she revealed her troops, and she had a strength 9.
Or a 9.
She had strength 9, and my inherent troops had a 3 when I revealed it. Well, Jamie's winning 9-3 right off the hop.
Yeah.
So there's a tracker to designate that. So Jamie would be on 9, I would be on 3, and then we start playing cards. So essentially, whoever is behind gets to play cards until they catch up or surpass the person in the lead, and then it would switch to the other person that's in behind.
Yeah.
However, what's interesting is at any point, if you are one behind or tied, you are allowed to basically yield. And that will negate anything from happening. All the bad stuff and good stuff, it just basically negates everything.
It's like you called
a
truce.
Correct. However, depending on who wins that region, things will happen. Ambush actually allows the person to ambush with a +6 modifier. So they're actually going to add +6 to their strength. That's the basic gameplay. You're going to be going around attacking, moving, placing your discs out with the end goal of having large stacks of discs with yours on top and scoring victory points. There is some asymmetry in this game as well. All of the faction leaders do have some asymmetry that you can get involved with, but you don't have to use the asymmetry if you don't want to.
Optional, correct.
But that's the basic premise of the game.
Yeah, and the only other thing is during that combat, if you do win, nothing happens, but if you lose some of those troops. So your strength of that army is going to go down, and then the other player might be like, and then you're going to get more troops as the game continues. I think it plays over 3 rounds.
So each round that comes up, you will basically, except for in the final round, I believe, you will pull a card. Round 2, you pull 2 cards. Round 3, you pull 3 cards, I think. And then you add those values together to your armies. So you'll disperse them however you want. So if you had 11 strength, you could add 11 worth of units to each of your armies.
Exactly.
So you're not totally screwed if you lose some units early on. You will get them back at round end.
But it is a good point. So there is a set number of rounds. So the game can be relatively snappy because you know that you only have so much time and so many cards in your hand that you can use. And each player will start out with their kind of home base where you get to put one of your discs. So I think the puzzle of this game is trying to get around to multiple of these fortresses. Try and get your discs out, but try not to put all of your beans in one basket, if one will, because then somebody else can just slide in and plop their disc right on top and take credit for all the work that you did.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the game, you're calculating based on the fortresses that you own or that you control and everything that people have put in it.
Exactly. And yeah, there's uniqueness in how you can move around this map because you actually can't go through enemies, so there are some bottlenecks that can happen, and units can kind of like hunker down and block different areas of the map down. But what's interesting is when you attack someone, you basically are also allowed to, I think it's called follow or something like that. So when you attack, you're allowed to displace that person adjacency. And I think it might actually be chase. So you can displace someone one space and then you can chase them, which means you can actually then go to the space that you just displaced them from. So you're actually able to kind of move the wall forward if you need to. And there's a lot of sneaking around and being like, oh, Jamie's kind of sneaking around this way. I'm sneaking around this way. Someone else might be going down the middle. Like there's a lot of kind of like manipulation of routes.
And obviously this will become even more chaotic the more players that you add in. I believe it's 2 to 5
Yeah, I've played it at 2 and 3. Yeah. And I do think it plays better at higher player counts.
For sure, yeah. Because it's area control, and that's just kind of to be expected. It's a bit more of like a cat and mouse at 2 players. Yeah. I would say. So who is this game for?
If you're interested in a lighter like area control game that doesn't take itself like super serious. It's not overly intense with like battling and stuff. It's basically like, oh, I have 5 strength, you have 6 strength, here's some cards. It's not like punishing, I guess is what I'm trying to say. A lot of war games can be, or area control games can be punishing. But this is, I would say, a good intro to that kind of system. Yeah, and like Jeff said before, very easy combat system. As we know in many combat style area control games, combat can become very convoluted where it's like, well, you have to be within range of It's like, no, you need to be adjacent, and then you just play out your cards, and whoever ends up having the higher score in it wins, or you draw, basically. So if that sounds like something that might be interesting to you, the artwork is very fun and colorful and inviting and welcoming, so it might be the kind of game that you could introduce to non-gamers. While it's not, I wouldn't say it's like specifically like a gateway level game, it is a bit more of an inviting
board presence and the artwork and all of that good stuff. And if you don't enjoy area control games, I would say if you are a primary like 2-player household, it definitely can play well at 2 players. However, like I said, you're going to get more out of it with more players. So I definitely think that this game would probably thrive in around 4
I thought 3 was great. I would say 3 or 4.
Right. Yeah. So if Yield sounds like something that you might be interested in, we are going to have all of the information, the links, and everything you need listed in the description below. And as per usual, I know there's already lots of content out there about it, so make sure that you watch some playthroughs and other previews and reviews and all of that stuff to make sure that this is a good fit for you, because
we want you to make informed buying decisions.
Yes. It's really fun to do that. Trust me, don't I know it?
Yep.
I love making informed decisions. But that is everything that we have for you today about Yield. Now, if you're interested in buying board games, remember this one, you do need to go to Kickstarter, but other board games, you should first start by checking your friendly local gaming store. And for us, that is
Boardroom Game Cafe.
And if you like what you see,
please subscribe.
We hope to see you again soon. And now we say goodbye. Goodbye.
Later days.